Welcome to episode 7 of Only Connect, a MarkLives.com podcast. I'm your host, Bradley Elliott, founder of Continuon and Platinum Seed. This month, I get to interview one of South Africa's most recognized creatives, Khaya Dlanga. Khaya started off on agency side as a copywriter for agencies such as Metropolitan Republic and the Jupiter Drawing Room, before moving to client side, where he was a senior communications manager at CocaCola, as well as the marketing manager at Amstel, and is now the CMO at Rain. He has also published a number of books, over 5 if I remember correctly, and is one of the most influential creatives in South Africa. In fact, he has over 400,000 followers on Twitter and is really seen as a force in the creative industry. We unpack a whole bunch of topics and just a really good chat in general. So I hope you enjoy this and strap in. Firstly, thanks for taking the time to chat to me, obviously. Today I wanted to chat to you a bit about working for Nando's. I want to chat a bit about humor in advertising and how do you use comedy in advertising. I'm focusing quite a bit on advertising, which is something that I tend not to do. The first thing is there's this interesting research going around how millennials in South Africa actually are ranking like happiness as their number one sort of priority and spending time with their family, and actually quite an optimistic view given our economic situation. It's interesting, but it's great. So I think, having worked on Nando's at the start, I mean, and humor in general, how do you see that playing into the audience, given that they are going after happiness? Does it play into the audience? Is it something, I mean, Nando's really are the best. I mean, if you look at their community management on their Twitter accounts.
If Nando's community manager is listening, I might be hiring.
Me too. Although I don't think I've got the same budget.
So I think happiness is a fundamental human driver. So it just makes a lot of sense. And I think especially when people are going through really hard times, they want to, look beyond their horrible existence at this point in time. And I think brands that do that are, will win. And I think that's why Coca-Cola for like many years has just been really driving the idea of happiness, even though they don't really speak. It's not always like, it's not obvious. Humor. It's not like humor. It's like, there's an emotion that it evokes. And because happiness is one of the most important human needs, I think, for us to survive. And I also think that happiness also helps one is with optimism. I think it also talks to the mindset that maybe South Africans have. It's like resilience and the fact that things will get better, that if they're worse, they can only get better from there. When I look at some creative people who are from South Africa, have done some, like very recently, some pretty amazing things, like Nelson Makambo, who's a South African artist. And he was on the cover of Time magazine.
Wasn't he on the Daily Show as well?
Yes, he was on the Daily Show like last month. And Oprah bought his works, Black Coffee buys his work, Alicia Keys buys. I just think that there is an amazing sense of optimism when it comes to South African creativity. And when I saw his art on the cover of Time magazine, I smiled. And it's funny enough actually that issue was called The Art of Optimism. So, and then you have Laduma, his clothing label. He was in New York Fashion Week just like 3 weeks ago.
He's got a standing ovation.
And got a standing ovation, got raving reviews. And his work is going to be on Coming to America too. Eddie Murphy is going to be out there wearing his clothes, and this movie that's coming out next year is obviously going to be huge. And Shoma Josie, yesterday, Ellen posted a video of John Cena dancing to her song called John Cena. I think that our creative people are really beginning to show us that we can bridge, the world. We can become explosive on a global scale by actually embracing our South African.
Still having that local roots context, as opposed to trying to bridge it through an authentic sort of like Western.
Exactly, because that's already been done.
It's already done, yeah.
And so for me, that's the one thing that I really appreciate and I love to see. And I think if we're not optimistic, I don't know if we'd be able
to
break, and to break the boundaries that this guy's actually breaking around the world. So,
there's a lot of inauthenticity around brands at the moment, right? Like people don't trust brands, and they don't trust the media. I mean, all the index.
Also, by the way, I also hate the word authenticity. When I say like
when it's
brand, and I'm like, but what do you mean when you say authentic?
So what I mean is like, brands typically be just using all the new mediums and platforms to broadcast messaging and not add value to people's lives, and not really actually live the values that a lot of them stand for, right?
So what I mean when I say authentic is like when people are presenting like maybe to your brand, as the brand owner, the agency, and authentic, and that's but what do you mean?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
But do you think it allows brands to be more personable and accessible if done in a human way? Like, so Nando's do it well, and I keep bringing up Nando's
because it makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah. But then you see guys like, and that'll go into my next question, you see guys like Pick and Pay trying to, and you just know that it's not their value. Like, it's not their value to be funny or humorous or optimistic.
But also, I think that if you are funny in a way that makes sense to who you are, that makes sense. And I think for them, but also it was condescending. Someone said there was that black intern no one listened to. And that's what happened in that execution. And then Nando's obviously came in hard and hopped in on that, which was brilliant. It was brilliant. So I think with humor, it's got to make sense. One, does it make sense for the brand?
Because it's hard, sorry.
Yes.
Lots of brands take themselves, or companies, I hate the word brand, like companies take themselves too seriously. And like, we cannot talk like that. Like,
exactly.
No.
But some companies that works and it's fine, it's perfect. And I think it is also very important that the brand owners who are working on the brand also understand, the zeitgeist, what is happening in society, and also like in connection with the brand itself. And I think all of that will then translate into the work that is created. And I almost feel like when you hire certain people to work for you, and I think one needs to look beyond the person's capabilities, but at the personality of the person and what they are bringing to the brand itself. And the fit, exactly. And I feel like a lot of the time that goes missing, and that is how humor will just go completely off.
So Nando's have done a great job. You can tell the person sitting behind that account, whoever you are, again, I've tried to find you quite a few times, is literally living.
Yes.
They are the brand, you can tell. Like that brings me on to the question about Rain. What are you doing at Rain? What are the values of Rain? And what are you up to?
The most important thing that we want to deliver really is to get out of people's way, give you great, affordable data, and that is it. That's what I want to do. Because a lot of people are complaining about data. It's expensive. Data must fall. We want to be able to answer that question so that people can have access to the internet and do the things that they really love doing. Something that I loved, and I always reference it, that apparently when you get to Facebook, there's a booklet that you get given and you read. One of the lines or the mantras is, people don't use Facebook because they love Facebook. They use Facebook because they love their friends. And for us, I never want to live under the illusion that people love Rain. People love what they can do because of it. They love the fact that they can access the internet, they watch videos. I don't have to worry about how much money I'm spending because it's so affordable and it works.
But isn't that the true value of a good brand?
Yes. When it doesn't work, people are frustrated at Rain. They're so mad at Rain. When it works, they don't think about it. And what that means is it's not just about the brand. It's not about, the product itself. It's making sure that everything in the background is working.
It's what the product enables.
Exactly.
That's effectively the value. The true value.
And to give you that value so that you don't even think about it.
Firstly, it's an awesome position that you and message that you think up, but I've seen you practice it. And I mean, I'll give you two quick examples that I can do. Your website, super simple, super clean, no overcomplicated value propositions and fancy navigation. That's the one thing. The second thing is I'm actually working with another company, and I reached out to Michael and a few guys and Willem, and they were like, to partner. And it was cool, very refreshing. Came back, said, cool, we can partner. But bear in mind, we give our partners no special rates. We've got one price, one offering, and whether you are a partner, whether you're a corporate, that's what it is. All we want to do is provide good data, affordability.
One of the dangers of marketing is thinking that you need to create all the fluff. Whereas the key is actually simplicity. Creating simplicity is extremely difficult. It took us quite a while to actually go and say, unlimited data network.
And people get scared.
Yeah.
Get scared that it's
so. And we've been offering unlimited data, so that's the network that we are. Why are we not saying that in hindsight? It's very obvious in hindsight, but to get to that point was not as simple as it seems. And for us, we have to try to be simple as possible. But we're also okay with being wrong.
Yeah.
For example, now we've decided that we're going to remove devices from the website because that's not our core business. Our core business is selling data. Is it a good decision? We don't know. We might figure out in a month or two, whenever. I was like, okay, you know what, actually.
I mean, how do you, I guess it's more of a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Is that, how do you compete against the big guys, right? Like Vodacom, all of them. But I think you've sort of indirectly answered it in that it's just a relentless focus and actually giving value to the customer, because you can't outspend them.
Yes.
You can't outspend them. So how do you...
How I see it is that we're not competing, because what we're providing data only. That's what we do.
Sure.
And we may offer a similar product, because our products, we have like 250 Rand unlimited. And I don't know if there's anyone else who offers unlimited that way. So for 19 hours of the day, you can use as much internet as you want. But we also encourage our customers to keep their other network, whatever network is they use, because you can make your phone calls and that because you can't make it. And in some areas, there are parts where you're not going to have connectivity.
Yeah, sure.
Our philosophy really is that we want to play nicely with others. And I think that philosophy is a driver, I think, to who we are, because even the people that we who work for us, who make sure that they're really good, decent, nice people. There are no big egos that are running around, because the moment of these big egos, I think this is when we will contradict everything that we're trying to build as a company.
I mean, that's a great philosophy. Yeah. I'm sure the competitors in inverted commas don't share the same sentiment as I hate to break it to you, but...
I find interesting. I think individuals are actually more likely to be that way inclined.
No, individuals, sure.
And I think sometimes when people are in a boardroom setting, there's a posturing that maybe sometimes may take place. Ultimately, I think every company, hopefully, that exists, the original intention was to always provide something good to people. And it was never to be this monster that goes to kill the competition and do all that. It's an ecosystem where everybody can survive.
Yeah.
I don't think who are bad players and have bad intentions. Maybe I'm naive, but I really don't. I
don't think so, unless you maybe look at the likes of Steinhoff. He doesn't bring out the best in people.
Yeah.
But just on that note, so I'm going to give you a bit of context around it. So you've got a strong agency background. You just mentioned agency and actually partnering with agency as partners. I think agencies are dying. I think they're dead. I know you've read all about consultancies versus agency. Yeah. Can you really partner with an agency? And what I mean by that is, when someone's cutting a check, is it really a partnership?
Because we are the kind of business that we are, just because I happen to have the marketing function, doesn't mean that I'm not involved in product development. That doesn't mean I'm not involved in business development. I'm literally involved in as many parts of the business as my abilities can handle. So I will go and work with other parts.
So that was my reason for my question. Yes. Because the role of marketing in my mind has changed. It's now a cross-business function, not an isolated silo function. But agencies are still working as a silo function.
You're right. That's precisely the reason why. Because this is how we work here internally, is that I find that in a lot of organizations, product development will come up with an idea and they'll say, hey guys, marketing, now go, all the bells and whistles, go and sell that thing. And so what we do here is, okay, we need to go and sell those things. Okay, but why do we need to sell it? Okay, what is the problem? Oh, people don't understand it. Why don't they understand it? It's because when they get to the website, they don't know where to click. Why don't they know where to click? Oh, so the issue then is not marketing, is that we need to fix something at first in the background. So what I try to do, one that everybody in the business tries to do, is to fix the actual issue first. And maybe we have the luxury because we're still new and young and we can just go back and fix. If it means we have to change the product, then we change the product.
100%.
That's all you do. That way you actually spend less money on your advertising because you fix the real issue, the real problem. Yeah. And then when it comes to partnerships, I see these partnerships as very crucial to the success of an organization. For example, and I agree with you, I think that the current business model of agencies is not sustainable, does not work, and I think neither clients nor agencies really know how to fix them. And I think there are a number of issues there. It's one where agencies feel that they're being underpaid for what they're delivering. And secondly, where clients feel that they're not receiving any value for what they're paying.
I was about to say that the agencies are overvaluing themselves and the clients don't feel the value.
Exactly. So now there is this chasm where there's no agreement at all between the two. Because again, the client is signing the check, they're going to have the power, and I hate that but it does create the power dynamics. Our model here is we ensure that our partners are in the room when we're brainstorming a product even. Where we're not even sure what we're going to do yet. They are in the room.
And do you find that they add value at that stage?
Yes.
Because there must be something they're not used to. Yes. I mean, they must be like taken aback.
For now, the partner that we have, or the only partner that they deal with, I really do feel this is the kind of ideal partnership.
But it's collaboration. Right?
Yes, it is. Like if I walk out of the boardroom here, in 2 minutes I'm in their offices.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm talking to them.
They're an extension of your team.
That's exactly.
It's almost like you act as one company.
Exactly.
And I think that's great. I mean, in our business, that's the way we've operated best with our clients as well. Is where you actually are just an extension of that team.
One of the biggest challenges as a creative person when I went to CocaCola was I would be working with an agency, and my involvement in the creative process, you could feel that it was making people tense, not knowing how to deal with me or work with me because I'm a client who understands the entire process. It's just that they still see you as a client who is trying to destroy kill their baby. Whereas I'm trying to make the baby better.
Yeah. Everyone's very protective over their own ideas, right?
Because everyone is trying to make something better. And I used to say, for me, the creatives that I like the least or the ones who are most protective over their ideas. Because what did that tell me about you as a creative? It tells me that you don't think you can have a better one.
Also, the whole thing about being creative is thinking outside of the box.
Exactly.
So if you can't let your own idea go, then you don't have the ability to actually just think outside of the box.
Exactly. But my favorite ones were like, who listen, they hear the saying, all right. And then they're thinking, and then the work is even better. Yeah. I love the collaborative process. I am I am super involved in the thinking, the strategy, the actual creative itself, how we should work together.
100%.
And for example, like I want to make sure that the agency is not under any financial constraints, because if they are, the agency is strained financially, and this is also the vision, I think, of the founders, of the company, is that let's make sure that the hygiene issues of the partners are covered, because they will give us their best.
Then that item's off the table. Yeah. It's kind of like when you pay someone a decent salary, like the money topic doesn't become anything anymore. You just know that they can perform.
That way, you're going to have a happy agency, and then you're going to have a happy client.
Did you go through a pitch for that partner? And do you believe in the pitching process out of interest? Do you not think it already just skews the dynamic and already brings in that power play even more so?
It's a tricky one, because I think.
Did you pitch for your accountants?
That's hilarious.
I'm just saying, we don't do it. You don't say to accountants, sorry, three sets of auditors come pitch.
Do you know what I think the problem is? I think with marketing, it's because everyone thinks that they have a great opinion and view.
Yeah, that's true.
And whereas no one has an opinion about the accounting.
Yeah, because it's dry. Finance, creativity is subjective, right?
Yeah, and therefore everyone thinks that they have something to say about it. And I feel like it's the one function that in almost any organization that everybody has a point of view on. Exactly. And then you can't really dismiss anyone's views, because it's living and they can see it.
And my teenager can do social media.
Yeah, exactly.
This marketing cross-function across business, and And I think you touched on a few points there about collaboration and learning and solving the problem quickly. And I think that comes back to feedback loops. Marketing for a while was always like one way sort of communication. But if you look what its real job was, it was for growth. And I read a great LinkedIn post, and he was like, can we stop calling people like chief growth officers? And she was like, dude, it's still marketing. It's just now we're actually able to measure the growth and sales. You're now actually accountable for it. Because now we can actually tie numbers to you as opposed to you putting up a billboard and saying, oh, well, I've done my job. Right?
There was a business Harvard review, I think last year, the year before, I don't remember, that I read. And it was talking about how the one function I'm most dissatisfied with in the C-suite, it was marketing. And the reason for it was because CEOs, when they hire the new CMO, they are like, great, you're going to turn the business around, you're going to create miracles. But then they are not given the power to make that happen. So if I need to speak to finance so that they can fix the processes so things can happen faster, they don't have the power to do that. Actually, the problem is actually the product itself. Can you actually change it?
You can't touch it.
No, you can't do that. And I think the mistake sometimes of marketers is where you impose your ego on the side, on what you're creating. And it's not about you. It's about this thing that you are selling and growing. Or solving. For us, what is the issue that we're solving? The issue we're solving is the issue of affordable data.
But you're also empowered to do it.
Yeah, I am empowered.
And I mean, that's why all the big companies, I don't know if you've seen, I think it's McDonald's and all of them, they've all lost CMOs. None of them are replacing global CMOs. I think everyone's going, oh, CMOs aren't needed. It's not the title that's the problem, it's the organizational structure.
It's because it's
silent.
It's silent. That's the problem. It's silent.
Some really big retailers that we work with. Customer experience and marketing. Forget about not sitting in the same room. They sit in two separate buildings,
that is
kilometers apart.
That is insane.
And I'm like, have you guys chat on? Oh, no, IT will link us up.
What tends to happen is the creation of functions that don't need to be there sometimes. And then and then now, because you've created it needs a reason to exist, and will create work that is not necessary.
Well, and just on that note, you were talking about reading Harvard Business Review. What are your top resources? Podcasts, I don't know, books, whatever that you read.
Well, I love reading.
Outside of your own Twitter account.
I love reading Harvard Business Review, to be honest. Whenever it comes out, I buy one. What I've also say to students, which marketing students, I would say, you guys are already behind. If it's in a textbook in this time, it's already too late, and you almost have to be quite curious about what is currently taking place rather than what I'm reading in the textbook. And I feel like we're living in such a fast-changing world that what I read is literally, it could be an article that I find online about something that is amazing rather than something that I found in some, because at some point, like it's weird how things are already outdated.
You know, like when you go to YouTube and you're like watching a music video, and the next thing you're watching how to like bake a lasagna, and you don't know how you got there.
No, that's it. No, I promise you, that's literally it. And I just find myself going down the rabbit hole, and then I'll go, and then maybe if I'm, I don't know, reading about a particular subject, and then I just go and deeper into it.
Well, it's like what you said earlier, right? I think curiosity is actually something we need to hire for as well. Like how curious, because you said, like, you can't have this person sitting in these chief marketing positions or whatever, just so isolated and not knowing what's going on. Okay, man, Khaya, it's been awesome chatting to you. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed that. That was great.
No, thank you so much.
This has been Only Connect, a MarkLives.com podcast. If you're interested in understanding the role of creativity in marketing and in building your brand as well as customer centricity, please feel free to reach out to me on Bradley@platinumseed.com. Until next time, keep connecting.